Hello again, everyone. It is I, Miraculous, and this video has taken an embarrassingly long amount of time to try and make. No surprise to anyone, this is once again a redesign video, but a little more surprisingly, this is once again redesigning Miraculous Ladybug. I'm actually doing a lot more than just Ladybug and Marinette's character, or Cat Noir and Adrian. I've redesigned all of the heroes and vaguely two villains. And I've done this all under the prompt idea of making them into more magical girl type designs. Like the first one, which led the whole inspiration down the whole design path, was the Ladybug redesign, where I just went and made her look more cute and simple, but also very magical girl. It just gives off the vibes of magical girls, right? I thought it was really cute, and I was like, this would be a really fun AU for Miraculous Ladybug, where the Miraculouses work more in tandem to Madoka Magica or Ginger Ninja's Prism characters. And I liked that idea so much, so I just ran with it. Now, I kind of want to go against my instincts again for the voiceover bit of this video, which is normally I have a tendency to just explain what I'm doing in the drawing or why I made certain design choices. But the reality is I really want to talk about this AU that's kind of vaguely detailed in my mind. It's quite literally, it's the vague outline prompt of the idea. I kind of want to flesh it out a bit more while you watch me draw this picture, or you don't. I know some people also just play videos for background noise while they also draw. I do that too. Anyway, so it goes like this. The Miraculous are still very much a thing. They're magical jewelry with these tiny godlike beings that are in charge of some form of concept. You have creation, destruction, other things. One of them's going to be emotion. Kind of that vague structure. And these Miraculouses tend to end up being collected over different periods of time, but most of the time they're all just kind of out there in the ether, just randomly being found or being passed down generations. And since this is an AU of Miraculous Ladybug, this is still happening in Paris with all of the characters from the show. So Marinette is an example of having the Miraculous passed down through her family. The Ladybug has been with her family for quite a few generations, and she's finally the one who gets it. And they're not aware of the whole there's a tiny little god that can grant magical powers attached to it. It's been pretty dormant and nothing's been going on as of recently. So she's never felt the need to make herself known to whoever holds onto the Miraculous. And so Marinette just has the earrings. Adrian, on the other hand, he kind of just stumbles across the Cat Miraculous on accident and feels particularly drawn and captivated by it, to a point that he does take it and wears it. And he is almost instantly introduced to Plague, who kind of offers him this hey, I'm a Miraculous. I can give you fantastical magical powers and a transformation, and I can offer you untold freedoms that you obviously don't get in your normal life. And Adrian's oh, hell yeah, bet, I'll take you up on that. And he takes on the persona of Cat Noir. Meanwhile, there's still no villains running around. And then in the specific case of the Hawk Moth situation, he still has the Butterfly Miraculous, and he is trying to use it. But there's a bit of a rule now in how the Miraculous works. It isn't enough to just have the jewelry and have the little god Kwame like aware that you have it and like willing to bestow upon the powers. There is the Kwame has to like want to give you the powers, and two, not only does the Kwame have to want to give you the powers, the Kwame also has to have something fundamentally similar to you. And a great, for instance, the reason why Plague immediately offers his powers to Adrian is because he can see the unrest in Adrian and how Adrian yearns for freedom and the ability to express himself free of consequences. So they're automatically very similar, and he's very willing to give his abilities over to him. Meanwhile, in the case of Hawkmoth, no, he's kind of very much forcing himself onto Nuru, and Nuru wants nothing to do with this. But, like I said, Gabriel is very much forcing the Kwame into this position, and they might have similar enough personalities for it to function, but because Nuru is being used against his will, it's not being used to its full effect, and it is eventually will have like negative effects on Gabriel. Now, Nuru still has the same abilities, but it's specifically he is a Kwame of the concept of transformation, which is why he can bestow powers and transformations onto other people. And Hawkmoth, in this instance, isn't specifically seeking out negative emotions to essentially cause havoc so he can get his hands on the cat and the ladybug. He's not very aware that they are options and exist. No, he's trying to use Nuru to get someone to be transformed into essentially a superpowered healer of some kind, because his wife is very much in a coma and he very much wants her back, very selfishly. He doesn't care about whether or not Adrian still needs his mother or wants his mother. He just wants his wife because he's a freak. And so that's what he's using Nuru for. But like each time he tries to use an Akuma to transform someone, it goes wrong every single time. It's either the people that he's trying to transform don't want to do what he wants, or additionally, they have more selfish motives that they want to achieve. So as soon as they get the power, that selfish nature that they have is brought out to their most selfish desires are brought out to the forefront, and they act upon it. So that's how chaos starts being stirred up, and that's how Tiki is awoken and announces herself to Marinette, and Ladybug comes back into existence to fight against these villains that are essentially starting to pop up. Now, further down that fact, eventually, Cat Noir and Ladybug meet up and they agree to team up to help take care of this rising villain issue. And eventually, even Hawkmoth learns about the significance of the Ladybug Miraculous and how it is the miraculous of creation and also healing. So if he got his hands on her, he could feasibly just use that miraculous to heal his wife, and he wouldn't have to worry about all of these failed transformations. But he's got to get the fucking miraculous first. So now he's actively trying to find more people to turn into villains so that he can essentially distract her or take her down long enough to get the earrings off of her. Because those villains aren't actually listening to Hawkmoth. They're doing their own fucking thing. But if Ladybug is getting in the way, they will fight back. Now, further down that list of there's still Miraculous running around, there's a total of 7, because that's easier to keep track of, that are like knowingly being circulated around Paris. So obviously the butterfly, the ladybug, and the cat are all called for right now. And then eventually the fox kind of emerges, and the first person with it is obviously Lila, because why not? She was actually, I really liked Volpina. So she uses Volpina the same way. She wants to make these big, boisterous, like, displays so she can get attention and gratitude and all of these, selfish desires, and that are also kind of like very superficial. And she does it through her illusions, because the fox Miraculous is of the concept of cunning and trickery, obviously illusions. And eventually they do fight her off, and the Miraculous gets taken from her or becomes out of her possession, and it will eventually end up with Alia, which is why I also designed Alia with the Miraculous. And then we've got the bee also is floating around, and because I designed 2 people with it, Chloe first and then Kagami, because I thought Kagami would be a cool character to have the bee Miraculous. Obviously, Chloe has it first, and at first it's like this very selfish desire of being seen as extraordinary by her mother, but the longer she ends up with it, she actually goes through like some form of character arc where she realizes she doesn't need her mother's recognition. She's extraordinary on her own terms. And eventually the bee ends up in Kagami's possession, and she uses it in a very similar fashion to how Adrian was given the cat and uses it. And there's other like things that I've kind of like thought of within this. Like, I want Luca to eventually end up with the peacock, which is like the Kwame of emotions, because he's already an empath, and I thought that'd be cool. And I have like the idea of somehow Hawkmouth fucks up and Marinette ends up with the butterfly, but the Ladybug comes out of commission, which I vaguely like the idea of Hawkmoth actually getting his hands on the Ladybug Miraculous and either managing to heal his wife or tricking Natalie into using it, or some form of fuckery, because I also like the idea of Natalie still ending up being Mayura, or additionally it could be the resurrection of his wife and she ends up being Mayura and causing chaos, because low-key the reason why she even ended up in a coma was because of using a Miraculous incorrectly. Ooh, maybe she ends up with the Ladybug and using it incorrectly as like a not good person. That'd be interesting. Anyway, so these are all of my ideas for a more explicitly magical girl Miraculous Ladybug and Cat Noir story. And here are all the finished designs. If you enjoyed this, now that I've finally made this video, I hope you like it. Find my other social places where I post things. Yeah. Have a good night, or whatever.